Hi, and welcome to Cohen Creative Designs show. We're supporting you to become the designer of your life by implementing tips and tricks to help you manifest your desires. I'm your host, Christina Cohen, and I'm just a girl from a small town with big dreams. I'm motivated by my family and passions for sharing and creating. My mission is to bring you stories from others who have manifested prosperity in their lives and help you take unapologetic action and create the life you desire. Your life and business transformation begins at Cohen Creative Designs. Good morning, John Z.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, glad to be here. This is going to be fun.
Yes, absolutely. So I can certainly do an introduction on you, but there's so many things.
Yeah, it's too many things.
I know. So I'm going to allow you to explain everything of what you do.
How much time do we have today? So, real estate's my primary business. Mm-hmm. And I do have a lot of real estate in Lee and Collier County. And I started in real estate almost 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. Down in Naples. We'll get into maybe a little bit of that story later, but been selling real estate, residential primarily, over the last 12 years. And then 4.5 years ago, I took over a networking group called Grow Business Network. At that time, it was called the Go-To Network. And I had been in it for years before that and jumped in and took over Grow Business Network about 4.5 years ago. And that's been great as well, too. People ask me, is that a non-for-profit? And I'm glad to tell them, no, it helps me pay for my daughter's college. Mm-hmm. It's my second business. Now, it's not quite the income as the first, but it's a great thing to have. Yeah. And they both feed into each other really well. Absolutely. Yeah. I would agree with that. And the networking groups, I feel like there's a great bottom line to that where you're very into the community, and I think that's Yeah, you have to be, I think, around here, even though Naples, Benita, Estero, Fort Myers, this area is, I think it's a decent-sized area. It's still a small town. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit about my business side. My more important side is definitely family and church and those relationships. I've been married. I met my wife in 9th grade. She came to our little school, and a cute little blonde, and it's that story, cheerleader and quarterback, and that's what we were. We dated throughout high school. We didn't date, went steady. That's what you did back then. Yeah. You gave each other, Letterman jackets or whatever they call those things. So that was a lot of fun. So known Angie for years, like 35 years, and we got married in our early 20s in college, and now we have 3 kids. Mm-hmm. And I was born in Naples, and we moved up to Chicago, Springfield, Missouri, North Florida, and then back down here to Naples. So that's kind of our journey. Yes, that's right. And you guys had a flower shop up north. We had a flower shop. Just recently, Angie, she opened up. She did. She's had a strong passion to get back into the flowers, and she loves it. So we bought a flower shop. We moved back to Florida because Angie's mom had lymphomic cancer. Oh. And they lived in North Florida at that time. They were up near the Tallahassee area. Mm-hmm. And so we moved from Springfield, Missouri down to North Florida to help her mom because we weren't really sure how she was going to do or, go through the cancer. So we moved there, and at that time, I didn't have a job. We just sold our house in Springfield, Missouri. We found a flower shop. Actually, Angie found it in the newspaper, believe it or not, in the classifieds. The lady put it in the classifieds in the local newspaper, which is funny. And we bought it. We didn't know anything about flowers. I didn't know anything about flowers other than, when I bought Angie a corsage for prom. That's all I knew about flowers. Yeah. Carnations and roses was it. But we bought a flower shop. We had a great designer. She stayed with us for years. And we did really well with that. Through the recession, we had that shop. We grew about 33% every year, and then we sold it 5 years into it and moved to South Florida. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So Angie's missed out on the creativity side of her life, raising our 3 kids. She's had to put that aside, but now that our kids are getting older, she's jumped back in. She loves it. Yes, I feel like it's just like riding a bike. I mean, she got back into it, and she's extremely talented. She was cutting flowers last night, and she had just got in 12 boxes of flowers, and she had cut for 2 hours. And I said, "How was it?" She's like, "It was so fun." And the kids are like, "You worked so hard, Mom." She's like, "It was fun." She loves it. So it's not work for her. I love her positive outlook on those things because that's really what it's about. Yeah. She loves it. All right, so we're going to start off with some rapid fire questions. Hit me. How fast do I need to answer? Wow. Is it 5-second answers or Oh, no. Does it matter? It doesn't matter. If you need a second, Hit me. All right, you ready? I'm ready. Okay. I came ready today.
If you could give your childhood self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Man, that's a really good question. I don't know if that can be rapid because that is so good. A question I would give my childhood me advice. Be a little bit slower to speak. Yeah, I'm pretty sarcastic in nature. God's given me the ability to think quickly, and respond quickly.
Yes.
And that gets me in trouble sometimes instead of thinking a little more before I just blurt out answers or comments or funny jabs or something. So I would tell him, Johnny, listen to me. You got to speak a little slower. Take another breath before you answer somebody. So
that's a great piece of advice, though.
Yeah.
I like that was the first thing that came to mind, too.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a funny one. Everybody seems to trip up over this one. What could you confess now that you never could as a child to your parents?
Well, that is a good one. I got quite a few things there that run through my head. One of them is already a confession, and I'll confess to your audience as well too. I've only mentioned this to a handful of people, so. Yeah, and I did confess it. I had to because they got the phone call from me in jail. So yeah, when I was 18, I thought I was exchanging some stuff at Walmart, and I didn't go to the counter to exchange it. Long story short, they caught me on camera returning stuff. I had bought some plugs for my boat, and they weren't the right size, so I just took them back and put them on the shelf and took the right size. Anyways, they put me in jail for that overnight. So my parents had to come pick me up from the Tampa jail, which was if you knew me as a kid, I never got in trouble for anything. I actually was a pretty decent kid growing up. I never got in trouble. I never did drugs, alcohol, none of that stuff. So for them, now my older brother, they expected that call, but me, not so much. So that's a confession that I'll give to your audience. My parents already know because they had to come get me, but. Yeah.
I probably never would have guessed.
No, most people don't.
Kind of like an innocent.
Most people don't have a clue that I spent the night in jail with some weirdo. Yeah.
Well, thanks for confessing that.
You're welcome.
Listen.
The Lord's forgiven me, so hopefully everyone else will.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, awesome. So what is something that you would like to learn?
I would love to learn. I've thought a lot recently because my daughter, she's 11, Kylie, the youngest. She started learning German the other day through an app on a phone. I know, it's interesting. So she says little German phrases and things. And so I was thinking, because of our culture here in Southwest Florida, we have people who speak Creole. We have a lot of French, Canadians. And then, of course, we have a lot of Hispanic folks from Mexico, South America, Guatemala. I would love to understand and speak Spanish. I think that would be pretty cool. If I couldn't speak it, it would be fun just to hear it and be able to understand what people are saying. I think it'd be really. I think the Spanish market, and I say this kindly, is an underserved area of our community in regards to real estate. They get a lot of bad information from their channels on TV that are just Spanish-speaking channels. They get scared into making mortgage decisions that are really bad, or financial decisions in general. And it's just not good advice. That community in a whole lot, we grew up in an area north of here by Tampa called Ruskin, a migrant area with a lot of farms. We had a lot of Spanish-speaking people. They are the hardest working people I know. They work their tail off for every dollar they make. And so to see people that work so hard get abused with their finances from other people and not treated honestly just really irks me quite a bit. So that's part of the backstory on why Spanish I would love. I'd love to work with more Spanish people.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
What happens if everybody in your family decided to just learn a different language? I mean, you guys could travel anywhere.
We could travel anywhere. We could go all over the world, which would be pretty cool. I would love that.
That'd be neat.
Yeah.
Who would you like to meet?
I would love to meet Donald Trump. That would be a lot of fun.
That's so funny. That's what I said.
I went to one of his rallies years ago before he became president. That was pretty cool. Just standing, 50 feet from the podium. Just his passion, his inspiration. Whether you follow him or like him or not, his ability to captivate a crowd and bring in the masses and really motivate people is what I like about him a lot. Maybe not some of his lifestyle choices, but I love the fact that he has a passion about what he believes. That's pretty cool. So
absolutely.
I'd love to meet Donald.
That's awesome. I like to meet their whole family, actually. They all seem pretty interesting.
They do. The son seems pretty cool as well, too, Ivana. I mean, they just seem like a really interesting family.
Awesome. So would you consider yourself a night or a morning person?
Yeah, I'm actually both, believe it or not. I was up late last night watching the Heat play the Celtics, so I wasn't in bed till like 11:30, yeah. And then I was up this morning before my alarm went off because of life, so I'm actually both, which is weird.
I like that.
And I don't like naps, so I don't sleep as much as probably as I should. My head just gets going in the morning, so I'm up. I'm ready to roll. Whenever the sun comes up, I'm ready to go.
I like that, though.
Good.
Doesn't matter what you're doing.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, it just depends. I feel like for my husband Ross, I feel like if we're fishing, hunting, I mean, he's just rock and rolling, ready to go.
That's how I feel when I'm on vacation.
When it's work, it's like,
Yeah, when I'm on vacation, I'm up early. I don't want to miss a minute of the day. I'm like, I don't want to miss anything.
I agree. That's awesome. Well, thanks for all your interesting, fun facts about you,
that's
John.
it, the rapid questions?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay.
So I like to kind of dive into a little bit more like, our organic collaboration. I'm just asking you some other sincere questions of, who you are and what you believe in. Knowing you personally and professionally, I think that, you're an upstanding citizen to our community and a great guy.
Except for the jail thing.
Well, it just adds a little spice to John C. That's
Nobody's
all.
perfect. Shows my humanity.
Absolutely not. But we're not going to give you the questions. Ask me these, because we get real spicy.
Yeah.
Okay. So I kind of want to know, will you kind of elaborate a little bit on your background and kind of what but let's dive into what kind of influenced your career path of like the real estate and, the Grow network. I think that's, they're both very, very unique, different industries, but they do mesh together very well.
They do. So history, like I grew up in a family where if you wanted to go buy a sugar daddy from the grocery store, sugar daddy's a piece of candy, by the way. Some people may not know that. It's a little caramel piece of candy. If you want to go buy candy at the grocery store or the gas station, you had to make the money in my family to go buy it. Our family didn't just hand the kids money. I grew up with 4 of us, and tight money, parent, teachers, and I mean, they just didn't have a lot of money. So they really taught us early on, if you want to have something beyond what we're going to provide in our family of, house and home and food, you're going to need to work for it. So they really taught all of us kids good work ethic, which is a beautiful thing, I think, for every child and to have and parents to instill in their kids. So that's kind of where the work side of it for me started. Auntie was taught the same way. She was a dairy farmer's daughter, so the hard work and that, like, hey, we're up and we're working probably 2 shifts a day. We're working 12 to 15 hours a day just on taking care of our animals. So that's really where the work history kind of came from. In regards to real estate, how I merged into that, I was almost not forced into it, but it was a rash, quick decision based on I needed money. So it came from a really low part in my life. After we sold the flower shop, we had a 6-month stint where we opened up a shaved ice business and in Coconut Point here in Estero. And I thought I was going to do great because I had seen others in where we were from, North Florida, do really well and how they were just awesome. But nobody knew much about it here. I didn't do a good job marketing it, and it plummeted. Like within 4 months, I'm like, forget it. Our 6-month lease, I canceled it. It was really bad. And that kind of forced me into real estate. It's actually where I met Keith and his family. They used to always come and he'd bring his kids and they would get some shaved ice at Coconut Point. They were like my best customers ever. So anyways, that's kind of how I got into the real estate field. I needed something that would help me make money quickly. At least I thought real estate was going to do that without much entry force or cost of money. So that's why I jumped into real estate pretty quick there. The Grow Network, that all came about because I had been in the network for years. I saw it starting to fall. And one thing I've learned about myself is I'm pretty good at taking businesses that are struggling and making them better. I don't know that I'm great at starting a business from scratch, but I do like taking businesses that just need some things tweaked. And with the Grow Network, that's what I was able to do. I saw that it had awesome potential, but just the leadership and management was kind of dwindling.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. There's some great structure in there. There's a lot of great accountability for business owners here locally, and it gives you an opportunity to, get your business name out there and what you do. And it's great, like family-like community. So, yes, agreed. How about who or what has been the biggest influence on your life and why? This could be personal or professional.
Yeah, I'll give you maybe one of each. So professional, definitely my dad. He works his tail off. I just talked a little bit about him, and he was an entrepreneur as well too. He helped, even though he was administrator of a school for 35 years, a Christian school, and he retired from that. So he was my business type motivation. I saw how he helped my mom start a business. I saw how he actually, when he lived in Naples, they would buy houses, fix them, and sell them every year. So his entrepreneurial spirit, but also leadership within a school, has really taught me how to run an organization.
Yeah.
And so that's been a great insight there. Who's personally, who has been a great mentor? Somebody, I would say I have a few. There's some coaches that I've gone through. I played a lot of sports growing up. High school coaches, football coaches. Bruce Dubois, he was a coach and a teacher for me growing up. Great role model. Bill Ganger, like my 4th grade teacher. It was great to have a male teacher at that age. I needed it. And so he was just a great role model for me. That's why I actually got into teaching. I actually have a degree in teaching, and I taught school for a year. And so I owe a lot of my life skills to those men who were just a part of my life in school.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I think it's good to see as a kid. It's good to see adults that you like certain attributes about them, and then set that as a target. You don't have to be them, but you set that target. Like, this is attributes I really like about this guy. Like, I'm going to be like that when I'm an adult. I'm going to treat my family like that. I'm going to work hard like that. I'm going to love God like that. I'm going to do all these things like that guy's doing. And that's what has helped me kind of shape my life as well too, on that side of it. So yeah, business, personal, I would say those are 2 strong ones.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Thank you.
So what are some of the key lessons that you learned along the way that have helped you become successful?
Yeah, never give up, I think, would be one of the biggest ones. So I say never give up. Sometimes you got to give up really quick. And I would say that because of some business decisions that I've made, like, don't string things along that aren't working. Give up on those quickly. And I wouldn't say they're giving up. Just learn that wasn't the right lesson. Stop it, and then start your next one quickly. Never give up, probably more so to like the longevity of whatever your desire is, whether it's to be like somebody like I was just talking about, or whether it's to run a business a certain way, or whether it's to keep your marriage going. I mean, we know marriage stats. I mean, divorce just keeps, man, that number just seems to keep going up and up, the percentage of people who are splitting in marriage. What a hard thing. And I can't sit here and say Angie and I's marriage has been perfect. Nobody, ours especially, has not been perfect. And we've gone through trials. Even 3 years ago, went through some really heavy trials. But the thing that was always given to me from elders at my church that I counseled with, Angie's friends that she counseled with, was you just don't give up. You have so much in life to look at and push forward to. Not just your kids, but you committed to one another. So share that commitment to your kids by showing it in your life. Like, if you give up with your marriage, your kids are going to look at that years down the road and go, well, mom and dad kind of threw in the towel. Like, wait, well, what's the big deal, right? So never giving up, I think, is a huge, like, phrase that goes through the back of my head.
And there's a difference between, like, healthy fights, versus something that would be normal. Like you said, perfect. I mean, that's just, perfection is an illusion that we'll never, ever going to reach.
Yeah.
But you're right. Sticking your heels to the ground to fight for something that is certainly worth something to fight for. But yeah, healthy and normal.
Healthy.
Ups and downs, but some of those big trials and tribulations there, I mean, it's reaching out to the right people, and
people have gone through it.
Yep.
Reach out to people. I mean, our world right now, since I would say the last Olympics in 2020, are really focused on mental health, right?
Absolutely.
The mental health circles. And I get that. It sounds like a trendy term, but to me, mental health is having people around you that can encourage you, support you, lift you up when you're not feeling well, whether it's depression or whether it's just, you're just too focused on yourself rather than others. And you need that. We all need that in our lives. We need people like that to do that. So Angie does that well for me. When I'm bringing her down because I'm having a bad day, it's great that we have people outside of us that can also help with that as well. You just have to have that. Our daughter, Kaylin, she graduated. She graduated last year. And one thing I loved with her speech was, they asked her, what did you learn from your family, right? And she said forgiveness. Like, she learned forgiveness. Yeah. It's good and bad, right? The good side is she gets to see her parents forgive each other a lot. The bad side is she gets to see her parents forgive each other a lot, which means we screwed up a lot. We messed up a lot. We say things we shouldn't say. We do things we shouldn't do. We hurt each other non-intentionally, most of the time. but the forgiveness and combination of us forgiving each other, and then her being able to forgive her siblings, other people at her school, her friends, whatever. What a great character quality, a legacy to pass on to your kids, like forgiveness.
Absolutely.
Like true forgiveness, not where like I forgive you, but I'm still mad at you, so I'm not going to talk to you ever again. Right. That's not forgiveness, right? So having that full circle of forgiveness where you actually still love the person afterwards. Like I'm so thankful she said that, because it helped in a time with Angie's relationship where it didn't feel like we were doing the right things. Like, let's do the right things. So it's great to be reinforced with that with the kids.
That was very, very strong, very powerful. Thank you for your vulnerability on that, because it's, you know, I mean, it's real. It is what it is, and especially in today's, and I think that's very important, especially for the children, to go through those messy parts of life, because you have to embrace the messy. and especially with the, you know, the illusion of like social media, of the expectations of what, you know, what life's supposed to be about. I feel like it's very distorted, you know, with whatever lens that you're looking through. So, you know, releasing that to say that, you know, it all happened for a reason. She had to learn those things for a reason. And this way, you know, intuitively on a healthy fight for things where, you know, we could talk about like real physical abuse stuff. I mean, if that kind of stuff is going on, your daughter and your children, all of our children need to know that that's not okay. Like,
that's right.
This arguing, this real fight for communication, that's what it's about. Going, you know, figuring out how to, you know, become a team, to problem solve and have solutions to get through things. That's what it's about. And embracing those hard moments. I mean, it's inevitable. We're all going to go through it, but
it is.
You're teaching them how to do it healthy. So kudos to you and Angie for that, because
it's important to do it. And I hope we'll continue to do it and even do it better in years to come. And I think really for people who are watching this, you know, it's important that we don't allow our kids to think TikTok and Instagram is actually really people's lives. It's just things, right? Like, I don't always look this awesome on camera, but I did for you today, right? But when I go home, like tonight at 10 o'clock, I'm not going to look all fancy and beautiful, you know? So this isn't really the real reality, what people see in an 8-second clip.
Correct.
So there are rough marriages, there are rough lives, there is bullying at school. Kids, you may not see that on your phone, but it really is out there. So to help our kids see that and have the ability, when they get into the real world, just go, man, okay, life in the world is like what it was in my house, instead of, well, life isn't like what it was on my phone. Right.
And even if we go back into our past generations of how our parents handled things, how our grandparents handled things, or, you know, sometimes I could even state that my mother, she was sixth out of 7 children, where that open communication and some of that stuff, you know, between her parents was done behind closed doors. So how was she supposed to know how to handle her certain relationship? How was she supposed to know that she could reach out and have a great, strong community network of individuals to help support her through some of the harder times of her lives? So that, you know, for her example, that kind of honed her down into a little bit more singling herself out for things to where it was harder for her. She battled a lot by herself, but she didn't know any better because that's how she grew up. So, you know, those things, you know, we hold a sense of guilt because we don't want our children to endure that kind of, you know, experiences, but it's there for a reason, and, you know, it's only going to make them stronger. So
you don't want to see your kids go through pain, but pain is how people persevere in life later on.
Absolutely. So that was a good one. That was a real good one.
I brought only the best ones today for you, Christina. I'll leave the other ones for other interviews, the bad ones, secondary role.
We want the real good stuff.
That's all I brought.
Well, good. Okay. So I have another, let's see, we have a couple questions here. I feel like you've answered so many things, and a great answer, by the way, so I don't have to.
Because I'm full of it.
You are. So this one's a beautiful one. It kind of ties into what we were talking about with a whole bunch of different things here. But some people consider a legacy to be real estate or money, but the most treasured forms of our legacy are found in intangible gifts, values, memories, friendship, love, and respect. What legacy would you like to leave behind?
Servant, right? Like, I love serving others. When we had our flower shop in North Florida, if I talk to my parents, if I talk to my wife or somebody at church, and they say, well, how was your day today, you know, at the shop? And I just always love telling people, I'm just making people happy. I love making people happy, and that was through service. Like I love delivering the flowers and just serving that client that way. I just love when there's a smile on somebody's face because you serve them and doing something they didn't expect, right? So I love that idea of legacy, service. I mean, I believe, Jesus was the best servant of all. He gave his life for all of us, right? So if I can follow and emulate in those footsteps, what a beautiful thing to leave to your kids to serve others. I've thought about over the last probably decade, success. Like what is really success, right? And you hear all these different people give you definitions for success, and I think it can vary a little bit. I think for me, as my definition of success evolves over my years, I'm not going to look back when I'm 90 and go, I wish I would have worked more, right? I'm not going to say that. I'm going to look back and go, what did I do for others? How did I serve others? Did I serve others well? Did I love others well? So to me, that will be my success. Am I doing that well? Now, that well is a little subjective, but did I do it? Are people saying that about me? Are people saying, John, if you call John, he'll take care of that for you. He will serve you in that manner, even though it has nothing to do with what his job or occupation or life is about. If you call him and you need him for that, he'll take care of that for you. So I want to serve. That's the feeling, the emotion, the attitude that I want people to see in me.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what would you say? I mean, that would obviously tie into your why. I mean, it's both hand in hand. So what do you do daily to try to live up to what you want to live up to as far as your legacy goes?
Yeah. So I heard a definition, I may butcher it because I haven't said it or read it for like 2 years, but I saw a definition on love. And it was really neat because it was different than what I thought love was. Like, I love being here with you guys today and doing this. I love talking about business. I love talking about life. But that word love is a little bit different than the love that I learned a few years ago. After a tough patch in my marriage, I had a counselor friend say, here's a really good definition of love. And it had to do with love is sacrificial for the benefit of somebody else's good. Not doing what you want, but what they need, right? And I thought, that's not what I'm doing. Like, I'm not doing that for Angie. I'm not doing that for my kids. I'm not doing that for my coworkers. Like, I'm not doing sacrificial stuff for them, for their benefit and for their betterment. I'm doing it for mine. And so it was a selfish love that I had. It was very self-centered, whatever I wanted to get by doing things I thought that I could do to get them to, be better for me or help me. So I think that's a great, I just see that in Christ's example of, in his life, his love and sacrifice for others was above his own, even for his own father giving his life. So if I can follow and emulate that, and something like that can be on my tombstone, like written, John loved in sacrifice, I would be so thankful for that.
That gave me goosebumps to hear that.
Yeah, I want to do that.
It's very powerful.
Yeah.
And for that moment, to have that light bulb go off, for that switch to really feel like, I'm really going to start living my life differently like that. Have you was it more effortless, you'd say, to now that you've had this belief system and now that you're learning your why, and now that, like with say affirmations, they only work if you actually believe in them.
Yeah.
And then to have to repeat these things every day in order to get your patterns, your habits start to go down that road.
Yeah.
Did it become a little bit easier to start living in that manner?
It took a lot of effort behind that comment that I learned about love. When I heard that definition, okay, I heard it, I understood it up here, but to make it in a heart, like a gut feel, like this is what I'm going to do, took a lot of reading and praying. So a good friend of mine, he said, listen, John, I've been through marriage problems before. This chapter, 1 Corinthians 13, has brought me through so many tough issues in life and in my marriage. 1 Corinthians 13 is the love chapter. It's all about love and how to love and how to do that sacrificially. So for me, every day I was reading that thing like 3 or 4 times a day. That's a lot of work. Like, you're sitting there, you're getting rid of distractions, you're talking to yourself through the word that you're reading, God's word, speaking to you. You're like, okay, what in this do I need to do? How do I make love? How do I do this with love, with family and friends, right? So that was, anyway, so it took a lot of, like, I don't know if you can really just like go boom and that's your personality and you start changing. It takes like some get-go, right? You got to get going on it. You got to put some feet to that action.
It's a lot more hard work to do development than anybody
Yeah.
ever thinks about.
And you do have to believe in what you say with your affirmations. I had a real estate coach years ago, and I thought he was cuckoo because he told me, he's like, you're gonna say these things to yourself. He's like, you're gonna make them up. Like, you're gonna make up the I ams, and that's when I am, boom,
Yes.
And so he helped me through that, and I'm like, this dude's cuckoo because I never grew up like that. Like, look in the mirror and say to yourself, I am blah. So here I am, like, that's not me, dude. That's not my tough personality. But I started doing that, and it did take him kind of saying, John, who do you want to be? Okay. And then you have to look and go, you know what? Do I believe I can get there? Do I believe I can be, for me at that time, it was a servant king. I wanted to be a servant king in my household, in my relation. I wanted to serve others, but I also wanted to be king in a sense of I'm in control, not in a bad way, like a push down way, but a king like I can rule my dominion, whether it's my family, I want to watch over them and protect them and serve them, or whether it's my business, I want to be the head, the CEO, the king of that. And so he's like, John, you can be a servant king. You believe you will be one day. So why can't you say that now? Why can't you say, I am a servant king, and speak into what you're going to be in the future? So that's when it kind of like bridged that gap a little bit. I still think it's kooky, and it's hard for me to even do it now. Like, I am a servant king. But it helped me jump to that next level in my personal life, in my business, to go, I am a servant king. It's just something that's difficult, I think, for some people to do. But when I started doing that, some affirmations, so helpful.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. What's yours? What's your affirmation? You got one?
Oh, I have quite a few, actually.
Oh, what's your favorite? I put her on the spot.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm like, hey, this isn't fair.
This is my question. I wrote down one question.
So there have been quite a few different affirmations that I've had to go through my own with figuring out, is this something that's going to stick? And something sounds very simple, but even telling myself I am worthy. It umbrella terms for everything. I am worthy for self-love. I am worthy for, respect. I am worthy for, the finances to come my way. I am worthy for my relationships with, community, family and friends and all that. So stating that I am worthy of that, it took some tears to get through. When you mentioned, the mirror work, I try to even tell my clients that the mirror work is probably going to be one of the most challenging things that you ever do.
It is.
Especially
when you look at yourself in the eyes in the mirror. You see your
everything.
soul.
Yes, absolutely. And even trying to get yourself through the first challenging 2 minutes of your life of just being with yourself, your own thoughts, just you. It's a lot more challenging than people anticipate. So everybody's like, oh, personal development, I love this. I love growth. I love all that. It's hard. It's hard to get through.
If you do it well, it's going to be a struggle. A good struggle.
Yes, absolutely.
So I have 2 follow-up questions. You are worthy of what?
Now?
Yeah, you're worthy. You tell yourself you're worthy. What are you worthy of?
Okay, I am worthy of love.
Okay. And why are you worthy of love? Like, what makes you worthy? Yeah.
Because
usually it's something outside of yourself, right? Or maybe I'm wrong on that part. Because if we're worthy, if I'm a servant king, it's something outside of me that's helping me hit that point, like, or have that achievement or that goal. So what's making you worthy of love? What is that outside of you? Or is it outside of you? Maybe I'm wrong in assuming that.
It is. No, it is outside. My whole life, I was always a giver. I still am. But I gave to the point where there was nothing left. So I had to then learn boundaries for that. But that also brought me joy to continue to give to others, whether it be my time, whether it be my support, affection, I have a weakness for others that are going through some hard times, hardships in their lives, which is why coaching was very suiting for me.
Sure.
But
you have an empathy for them, right?
Yes.
I don't know if that's a weakness.
No. But for me to find that, to receive it back, it was a challenge because I got so used to being on one side of it. So I'm worthy of love and time and respect and everything back at me. It was hard to go through.
Yeah.
So even my own challenging relationships where it was like through learning a lot of, even like counseling after my very first relationship with my oldest, we were like a perfect cocktail of, like a vampire and, just like, a sense of weakness of, because I loved to give so much that I just kept giving. And I thought that I was the the bucket was empty, but I kept going. So it was just a perfect combination that lasted for, I want to say 11 years. So to overcome stuff like that, once the chains were finally broken, trying to find, what was left or what was there. It was almost, I want to say starting from scratch or from a blank slate, because I felt like there were still parts of me that were like naturally, given to me with talents from God. There was a lot to try to put pieces back together or figure out, this is what I want to carry through to my next stage of my life, next chapter of my life, and this is what I want to leave behind. But finding worthiness of being loved back in the ways that I'm willing to give, it was a lot.
So for somebody like you,
rejected a lot.
That gives a lot, right? You give a lot, and so you're always giving to others in regards to yourself. Like you probably give compassion and stuff when you're dealing with other people on phone calls and things like that. And as you empty yourself out, right? You're emptying Christina. Like you're taking your emotions for the day, your feelings, your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience, and you're emptying those on a client to help them get to their potential and their goals and whatever they want to achieve. What fills Christina back up? Like we all finish work at the end of the day and we're like, ugh, I'm drained. Some people, they just sit in front of a TV and so maybe that fills them back up. I don't know. But in your field, there's no way lackadaisical stuff would fill Christina back up. So what fills Christina back up so that the next day when she gets on a phone call with Susan, you're ready to do it all again. Yeah.
So I have a lot of support from my family. I lean in and I allow that self-love with my nurturing mother self, with my kids, do a lot for me. So your children are actually a reflection of you. I mean, surprise, surprise. But that's where a lot of that exchange of energy does come from, where, we're able to, I do get back what I give to them. And my husband also is a huge supporter with that, where I am allowed to feel like supported and, cared to, or I don't want to say catered to, but cared to, where, he could see sometimes.
Well, you should be catered to. As a wife, you should be catered to. I think so.
Yeah,
us husbands,
I won't disagree with that.
I think that's one of the things us men have lost. I think that's one thing we're not teaching our sons. Cater to your wife, take care of your wife, treat her like that princess that you dated when she was 16 or 18 or 20, like that first date you went on. Cater to that and don't give up on that.
I heard a saying about some men. Some man had a statement that I was listening to, and he stated that the husband's responsibility is of their wives' emotional support, to be in charge of that, to in some ways cater to it or be responsible for a lot of that.
Yeah.
Where
you gotta guard it.
Yeah.
Like I know for Angie, what you're saying there, for me over the years, I've had to help guard her emotional support. God gave women like yourself and Angie and your helpers here, like the ability to sense and have emotion way beyond what I could do. Like I just don't have the ability to have Angie's emotions. They're really high and they're really low. She loves really deep and she loves really, like, it's all over the place. Most guys like myself and your husband Ross, we're like, it's hard to get us to, good way.
Yeah.
So, but as husbands, that's a great thing we have to help our wives with. And like, you've got that. We can help guard that in a healthy way, in a wise way, I think. And as women, what Angie does well for me is she helps me have emotion when I'm emotionless. Like, you should feel for them. Like, they're going through a tough time. I know maybe, John, you can't see it because you don't have that sense that God gave women. You may not be able to feel it, but that happened to them. Something's happening to them right now, and I can tell. And us guys, we're oblivious to so much of that stuff. So we're such a good balance, husband and wives.
Yeah, I would agree.
So you get filled back up then through your kids, through your husband,
nature,
through other relationships, nature. Yeah, you guys like to travel.
Yeah. The water is something that always rejuvenates me. So whether we're on the boat, or just even sitting on a beach, like that's why I live here.
I know, it's great for that.
I can't not be around water. It's a magical force for me. I don't know, it's like mesmerizing. It's, like almost like hypnosis, where you could just sit there and be, peaceful with your thoughts. That's how you know that those are the things that fill you up and like help, re-energize yourself.
Well, God gave us creation for that, right? God gave us creation to subdue and to enjoy. Like, and so when I turned 16, my dad asked me, he said, John, as we did with your brother, we'll help you purchase your first car. We'll pay for half of it. You pay for the other half. He said, what car do you want? I said, I don't want a car. And he said, what do you want? I said, I want a boat. So when I was 16, instead of a car, because we lived on some inlets and water in the bay up in Tampa, I bought a boat because I love the water. I'm
Yeah.
like that as well too. So
Yeah.
spent many hours out just enjoying dolphins, kneeboarding,
Yeah.
and all that fun stuff. It's great to get out and rejuvenate on that.
Yep, it's a cleansing system too, so it's
It
great.
is. Since we're running out of time on this episode, next time when you have me back for part 2, I'll tell everybody about my dreams, which involve a boat, but a very
Yes.
specific, cool boat. So talk about
Yes.
that next time.
I have one last question
Yeah.
for you. How can we help support you?
Well, what you did today is very supportive. I mean, just being able to sit with somebody and talk about past influences in your life, business, it helps. That already has helped me. Like, it'll help me through the rest of my day-to-day. Just rethinking about people who have been a big influence for me. That's a big deal. Put this out in front of people as you do, a lot of your viewers. They may need help. They may need a phone call just to talk about something non-business. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm there for that. That's how you can help me. That when I empty myself out, how I refill is similar to yours. I help somebody else. Like, when you help other people with your counseling or your guidance with business coaching and stuff, it takes a lot, I'm sure, out of you to do that. To me, it's the opposite. It fills me up when I get to do that. So hopefully somebody that watches this will go, man, I'm going to give John a call because I want to fill him up and I'm just having a crappy day.
Yeah.
And we'll solve both each other's issues.
Exactly.
You know? So that'll be very helpful to me, and that's what
Exactly.
you can do. Get it out to the masses.
I'll do it. Awesome. Thanks. Have an awesome day.
You too.